All right, it is time for the July TBR, which does have some flow over from June because that happened. We're not going to dwell on it. We're just going to get the books read. I do want to read them. It's just June was ambitious and it got away from me. Mental health did things. So, I'm hoping for better vibes in July, but I'm also hoping I made this manageable and I've set myself up for success because there are some favorite books that I have put on this TBR. First, we'll go through my obligations, and then we'll go through what my rereads are. And this is the general list. I'm hoping I've left some room for mood reading, because I've been wanting to do that, and I haven't reset my intentions for the rest of the year, so I'd love there to be space on this list. So when I go through and be like, what do I want to focus on for the rest of the year, I can maybe put a book onto my TBR from that. But that's a future me problem, not a right now bulk filming before vacation problem. So, first obligation, I'm going to be reading Rainwild 3. I don't know, this is Blood Dragon something. Here's the title. Generic fantasy title that I know has blood or dragon or city or something in it. This is a buddy read I do with Grace, Ben, and Stephanie. It is very fun. I don't think I'll get to start this on the 1st because I will not be here on the 1st, and I'm not taking this book with me. But this is something I usually immersion read. We usually read like 2 or 3 chapters a day. And I'm curious to see where we go after where events have left off in the first half of this series. A book that I have started, but I don't see a universe where I really finish it in time to make a wrap-up to film it. So it's going to be read both probably like half in June and half in July, and that is Dark Age. And also might start Lightbringer at the end of the month, but that book doesn't come out till like July 25th, and although I asked for an arc, I have not received it. So, Dark Age, Lightbringer, we'll put those here. I do think, now I've been listening to the audiobook while I've been doing stuff around the house for Dark Age, so I'm very early days, and I've always been nervous about it because I didn't like Dark Age when I first read it because of its pacing, I think. And I think that's where it is now, is its pacing and the focus on Darrow's arc. Because in the first book, Iron Gold, we're setting up a lot of stuff. And the least interesting thing that was set up for me is Darrow stuff. And that's what we spend a lot of time with. For obvious reasons, like I'm not saying the book was leading me astray. It's just like the least interesting thing to me. So, hoping though, knowing that it'll be a better experience and very curious to see where Lightbringer goes. Extremely curious. When I have information about live shows for either of that, I'll let you know. Also, I don't know if you can hear the trucks outside, but some trucks have shown up. But I don't have time to film this later. And it's really hot, and I'm not closing the window. So I apologize if that ambiance is in the background. All right, another thing that I'm going to read are my buddy reads. One is a carryover, so Chaos Vector. This is the second book in the Protectorate series, the first one being Velocity Weapon, and we've been reading one of these every other month and discussing them in my Patreon, and I think our live show will be near the end of July. So I definitely want to read this earlier in the month, get it done. I mean, I've been really wanting to read it. It's like a really fun, fast-paced adventure sci-fi. I just have not had time. It just did not happen. So, really hoping that it does. And also, I have my book club for my local book club I need to read for, and that is Nightcrawling. I believe this author was like the youngest person to be considered for the shortlist for the Booker, which is very interesting. And I do think, like, genre-wise, I'm curious about what this book's going to be like because there's a lot of words like suspenseful, thrilling, and it's about night crawling, which, I mean, my only context for that career path is having watched the film, which, if you haven't seen the film, is a very dark, odd film with Jake Gyllenhaal. So I'm hoping that it works for me. I have the audio and the Kindle. Hopefully it's a good discussion. That's always what I hope, honestly, is even if I don't like the book, I just am like, oh, hopefully this conversation runs itself, which it normally does. We have a really good group at the Brookline Booksmith. So I think those are, like, main obligations. I do have 2 buddy reads, channels that I'll have open for my Patreon, because they were really close to being tied, so I just made one, like, the TBR pick and one the buddy read, but I'll make channels for both, and we're just gonna read them. One is The Best of All Possible Worlds by Karen Lord, because the 3rd book's coming out in August, and I cannot wait. And I've been wanting to reread this for years. I think I first read it in 2021. And it's been too long, and there are new short stories in my edition. I'm just very, very excited. And also on the horizon, I'm going to have Karen Lord on my channel, so I want to make sure I've read all the books before I get to that. Oh, it's going to be such a good time. So, and if you're not in my Patreon and you also want to buddy read it, I'm just very pro getting people to read Karen Lord. So just, let me know. Maybe I'll open both channels. They're only the spoiler vlog, only going to patrons. But in terms of, like, channels on the Discord, I can be swayed. Especially for Karen Lord, because criminally underrated author. Anything I can do to get people to read Karen Lord. Anything I can do. And then the other buddy read spoiler vlog. And I think I might put both of these in the same vlog. I haven't committed yet. We'll see. But this is The Raven and the Reindeer by T. Kingfisher, which I believe is another short retelling adjacent fantasy similar to Bryony and Roses, but this one might be Snow White. Don't quote me. I don't know if it's Snow White. And I'm basing this a lot on covers, and I do know at one point I read the description, but that has left my brain. It's no longer in my head anymore, so I don't know. And the last thing that I think I for sure am going to read is the first book in The Rook and the Rose. I'm going to reread The Mask of Mirrors. So excited. I just cannot wait. And, I don't know if I'll have time to read both of them, just like I don't know if I'll have time to read Best of All Possible Worlds and The Galaxy Game. But I've been marathoning series lately, and that's been really fun. And I have the audiobook for Mask of Mirrors and The Liar's Knot. So it could happen if I actually make time for audiobooks, which I have not been doing. But if I did, I could do that. But I also love physically reading them. They are incredibly cozy to me, although they're usually winter cozy. So we'll see how reading them in the summer, if it even changes anything. It probably won't. It's just, a different time of year to be reading the book. But I want to start reading The Mask of Mirrors to get ready for the August release of Labyrinth's Heart, I believe is the title. So incredibly excited for that. And then the last thing that I put on my tentative TBR is I want to get back into Vorkosigan. I really like Vorkosigan. I was hoping I could get to Warrior's Apprentice last month, and that just didn't happen. So putting Warrior's Apprentice officially on this TBR to try and get to. Because I want to meet Miles. Everyone keeps talking about freaking Miles, and, I met him for, a millisecond at the end of Barrayar. So, yeah. This is an incredibly short TBR video, but that's the type of energy that I have today, so let me know what you are planning to read in July. Are you, have all the reading time in the summer, or are you traveling a bunch, so you're trying to be very selective? Do you bring big books? Do you bring tiny books? What is your thing? For me, I'm just trying to keep up with any obligations I signed myself up for, and also trying to make sure I have reread what I've wanted to before new releases come out. Because I do, end of July we have Lightbringer, and then in August I have The Blue Beautiful World, and I have Labyrinth's Heart. So I want to make sure I've gotten all my rereads done before those things, and it's just very, very excited about it. So I think that's what's good about this TBR, is although it's in some ways it still concerns me. There are some long books on it. I'm excited about all of them. If you don't, have any TBR thoughts, but still want to let me know you're here, let's leave an emoji of a raven for The Raven and the Reindeer. I think there's a raven, right? There has to be a blackbird emoji. Probably. And otherwise, if you liked it, subscribe if you want to, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.